Anyway.
Okay, well, that was my take on it, and apparently that was interesting.
No, that
Dan.
works. That works, and it fits with because it's a track that has been. I think a lot of fans. I think every super fan knows for sure what it is, and nobody agrees.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, now I've got my take that I can pin to my shirt and say, nope, I'm this guy.
Yeah, I mean, and it does fall into like I mean, there are certainly camps of, and yeah, it's I'm sorry, I've been wanting to make this joke ever since we got into this, and when we get
it took you 2 episodes.
No, ever since this episode, when we got into how many points of view are in this album, in the words of Joseph Robinette Joseph Robinette Biden. At least 3, Jack. There we go. That's his response to how many genders are there. At least 3 is what he says, which is a fine answer.
Well, there we go. It's not bad. But just to be clear, based on what you were saying earlier, like David and what we listened to, Bowie considered Ziggy to be male.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
But androgynous.
Okay. So now I've got questions about Lady Stardust, which is up next. Again, who's singing? Is this the narrator?
I think it's a fan who is falling in love with this character and possibly experiencing homoerotic attraction for the first time.
Okay. That fits.
I mean, I don't know if this is the place to go into this, but we're here.
We'll get, yeah.
I don't think it can be overstated how big of a deal it was that David Bowie stated that he was gay and that he was also married to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
That really, it blew a lot of people's minds because, first of all, it was some people's first introduction to the concept of bisexuality. And
by the way, the model Iman, right?
Yes. Well,
his
he
wife,
was married. He was married then to Angela Bowie.
Oh, when he
came profoundly fun character in our story.
Can't wait.
You know what? Since we're doing all of these tangents, here's some Angela Bowie.
My first image of David was enticing. A Polaroid of him posed naked, shot from the groin up. He was very pretty.
This one might exist on Spotify, so hold on. We're gonna do some. Do you want to hear her slightly drunk or fast? Let's do slightly drunk. It'll be more fun.
Okay, just slightly drunk.
And so was the man who had taken it, Dr. Calvin Mark Lee. Oh, Calvin.
Oh, Calvin.
Was a character. San Francisco Chinese, very beautiful, very sensitive, very clever. The doctor stood for a PhD in philosophy and as hip as they come.
By the way, I'm not playing this, listener. I'm not playing this for the gay chunk. I'm playing this for the Angie chunk. So get over it.
A&R man for Mercury Records, but Calvin's real vocation was as a collector. He collected people, and not just any people. He wanted the chic, the exotic, the unconventional, the dedicated leaders of fashion, the androgynous. London in 1966 and 1967 was full of those people, and Calvin would find them in all the likely places.
I want to go faster.
Which were also the places his job.
No.
He would easily walk up and take a likely candidate into that soft, sweet snare of his. Ooh, what a wonderful jacket. Where did you get it? Really? You know, there's an exhibit opening next week. I'm sure you'd really love...
Sounds sinister.
Success. There was somewhere between 50
Even
and
fast.
all
Anything
together,
does on
boys and girls.
1.75.
Calvin had already slept with David Bowie, but he wanted more. He wanted him in a business sense, too. He wanted to sign him to Mercury Records. First, though, he had to convince his boss, Lou Reisner, that a very odd avant-pop commodity like David could sell big tickets. And then he had to outfox David's manager, the ghastly Ken Pitt. Connected with sufficient intimacy to David, I could be useful in both enterprises.
There's Angie.
David was a rotten boyfriend at first, or at least not the boyfriend I wanted him to be. I was still at the age when a girl assumes her lover is going to be nice to her, even if he isn't faithful. But David was cold. One night I remember when I was all worked up about some slight of his, in my very best theatrical manner, I tumbled tragically down the flight of stairs outside my room at the Nomad Travel Club. He simply stepped over me on his way out and said, "Well, when you feel like it, if you're not dead, call me." And naturally I did. I was falling in love, and love is blind. A turning point came in our relationship, though, and it was David who initiated it. He called me one day and said he was dreadfully sick and wanted to be with me, so could I please come down and take care of him. That night we sat on his bed and he started playing me tapes of his music. All of it. All the different versions of the tracks he'd been working on for his first album for Mercury. A sense of amazement came over me. I'd heard some of the songs before, but only in bits and pieces, never with such intensity. Now I listened with wonder to one gem after another. These weren't the usual boy meets girl, girl loses boy pop songs, but loaded little views into the real drama of life. Amazingly original.
He must not have played. This is a joke for all the boy fans out there. He must not have played Letter to Hermione. Okay.
And poetic. And their author sitting next to me on the bed wasn't just another pretty pop face, or for that matter, just another rotten boyfriend. This was a special man, different and great, one in a million or more, a man with a rare and beautiful gift, a star in this world. A new sense of who David was came flooding into me. He was also behaving in a new way, acting kind and sympathetic towards me. And when we made love, he was delicate and sensitive, a much better lover than the stud I'd known up to then. We became intimate that night, revealing the parts of ourselves we'd been keeping hidden and safe. David talked about his childhood in the Brixton area of London, about his father, a gentle Yorkshireman who had worked for the last 15 years of his life as public relations man for Dr. Barnardo's, which is a children's home, about his firebrand mother, one of the first women in her town to wear trousers, who had had an illegitimate child, and about that child, Terry Burns, 9 years David's senior, and his great hero. David told me how he worshipped Terry and how Terry had been such a big influence on him, introducing him to music, politics, and poetry, and also to a haunting fear. Something had happened to Terry while he was serving in the Royal Air Force in Aden during one of Britain's last colonial wars, and whatever it was, it had disturbed him profoundly. Diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic, he was in and out of mental institutions until 1984, when he threw himself under a train. He was buried without his little brother in attendance. Terry was in a mental ward as David revealed himself to me that night, confessing to an awful dread that he might follow his half-brother's path. He had reason to worry, I think, as events were to demonstrate, but that night we were safe as houses together. We could be trusting and free. For my part, I could bear some truths about myself. I told him about my affair with Lorraine, and I made it plain to David that whatever I'd thought before, I was now no longer mainstream, no longer respectable, no longer interested in maintaining the status quo. Quite the reverse, in fact. I told him I was ready, willing, and eager to stand up and be counted. And indeed...
Yeah, okay. So anyway, that's just to introduce Angie into our little story. In some of the documentaries that I watched, so they really talked about, and these are people who are themselves currently gay icons, talking about how at the time it was like, you don't do that. You are not. The feeling was you're not allowed to say that you are gay. And in doing that, he, and in also in having this image of himself as, this outsider, he developed this fan base of people who were like, oh, thank God I'm safe with you. You're a weirdo too. You're my weirdo, I don't remember why I got that. Oh yeah, the Lady Stardust got us there.
Yes, that's where we came from.
And
we weren't just talking about Rock Hudson or anything.
No. Yeah, I think Lady Stardust is, again, I think Lady Stardust is kind of, it's an invitation to the het breeders out there to be like, okay, I understand, I get that there's some resistance here, but this is actually a beautiful creature. You've been listening to Bowiesplaining.
All right. I don't have a lot to say after that. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I could be dead wrong, and I apologize if I'm like stepping on anyone's toes out there. This is not entirely an experience I have a lot of experience with, but I do think that it's acknowledging that it's sort of, there's a piece of it that, and I think a lot of this comes from me working with a lot of the people that I have worked with who are, a part of the community in general, where it's like, yeah, everybody is a little bit something here, like, I don't know. That's besides the narrative. Of course, the narrative. This is the introduction. This is the, like, ladies and gentlemen, our star character Ziggy Stardust, as talked about by someone observing him, and I think it gives us that observer's point of view, to borrow a line from the song.
All right. No, Eric, I like it. I like that a lot.
Please say things. I don't know what I don't know what I just did.
No, I'm good saying things. But yeah, I mean, it's a good song. It's got another beat that just keeps driving it through the song, and my main question was, who is singing about Ziggy? And I'm kind of down with the idea that, like, because the person singing the song is proud about Lady Stardust. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, you're a new fan? Let me tell you.
Right.
I like it. You're in. Come on, let's talk. And that's right. Like it's and I also wanted to point out that the words "all right" meant something a little different back then. Like, saying you're all right was a little less lame than it is these days. That's all right.
True. It was like, all right.
All right.
All right.
Well, man, Jack, it's all right.
No, that's true. That's a very good point. Want to deal with this piece of shit?
I hate it.
Just kidding. I mean, we don't need to do a track by track. I actually do like the overall, like, bigger picture thing that we're doing. But Star is, if for some people, I don't think I include myself. I go back and forth on Star. It's for some people, it's in that same category as It Ain't Easy, where it's just like, why are we here? What are your thoughts?
It's a pretty standard sort of song, but it is it feels like on the concept album realm, it feels like this is how we got together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I really like that. I like that. And I don't know that I completely co-sign on it, but I like it as an idea, because it's almost like narratively, if this is a movie, it's like, okay, Lady Stardust, this is like an outside observer of Ziggy Stardust doing his Ziggy Stardust thing. And aren't we all proud of this? Ziggy's Lady Stardust, Ziggy Stardust. It's our hero. It's a community. We're all in this. And then it's almost like in a movie where it's just like 1964 or something,
Yeah. It, like, Ziggy, it seems like if this is Ziggy singing the song, it feels like he's saying he was kind of naive. He got into it for the rock, and now he's like, oh wow, we got really big.
And I think you're right. I think the biggest problem I have with just absolutely saying, like, yes, that's what it is just I've just listened to this stuff for so long that it's just like, it's just there, but it does make a lot of sense at the very least, it makes a lot of sense for Ziggy Stardust to be singing this, because who else would be?
Right.
And I love that thing at the end where it's like, just watch me now. So let's see. Hang on to yourself, Eric. because we're gonna take a break. Hang on to yourself. The song. You see, honestly, we're getting into a place where, basically from Hang On to Yourself all the way up to, but not including Rock and Roll Suicide. For me as a fan, it's like, all right, here are the songs that everyone knows, and so
and this feels like the band is just going.
And I think that is possibly what it is. And I think that Ziggy Stardust, the track, could possibly be that narrative voice coming back in. Because it's almost like, because it sounds like someone remembering this character, and like it talks about the tragic ending of Ziggy, which we never get into the details of. It's super vague. Mm-hmm. It's just like, hey,
yeah, it's the legend for sure.
Yes.
Did the Spiders from Mars resent Ziggy being the star? It sounds like in the song, like they were a band, the Spiders from Mars, and then Ziggy rose to prominence. And now it's Ziggy Stardust and these Spiders from Mars.
That's it. So it's
and did it have anything to do with his God-given ass?
Well, I mean, we have seen his God-given ass many times in his area as well.
He's well hung. He has a Snow White tan.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know how much. So the relationship with Bowie and his band is very similar to what you just kind of talked about.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, they were hired musicians, and he definitely treated them like that. But in the studio, he treated them like collaborators, because that's how he worked, like in general. But yeah, they were basically hired hands that he had a lot of respect for. But he fired them on stage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, not like you're fired, but in character, he stated the last performance on the Ziggy Stardust tour, and they had basically recorded an entire other album of music that he intended to put out there. In fact, I think it might have already been out. I don't remember. But he says, before singing Rock and Roll Suicide as the closer, he says, I'm paraphrasing here. Thank you, everyone. This has been a very important tour for us. And this next song is especially important because not only is it the last song on the tour, but it's the last song we will ever do. And his band did not know that. So
it's just an idea that occurred in his head, and he's like, all right, we're done.
Well,
okay.
Again, it was him, I think, in character, kind of expressing David Bowie's actual feeling of being done with this character and wanting to go in a different direction. I'm just going to talk about Bowie lore, unless you have any other thoughts about these three tracks, because
let's see. Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am was not originated by David Bowie, as far as I know.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm sad about that.
I do love Suffragette City. It's a great song.
It is a very good song.
Rock and Roll Suicide is a great ending to the album because it sounds like this is the acoustic ending. We're done with this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all over it. Yeah. I mean, it does come back in with the chunky horn sort of stuff that like the Beatles did on like Savoy Truffle on the White Album, which I love.
I'm sorry, I blocked out those words that you just said.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, he like Bowie really like his voice is breaking, like he's really giving it at the end of the song. And then they have a very a very Beatles sort of ending to the song.
I don't know. I know those are words that I've heard them before, but never in no succession. Or in that succession, rather. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, fine.
But for a concept album, it sounds like this concept is over.
Yeah, it is definitely
is done.
It's the end. Yeah. Rock and Roll Suicide. Yeah. Oh God. I mean, talk about, first of all, Suffragette City. If you are at karaoke and you're like, hey, I like David Bowie, I like Suffragette City, surely this is a song that will work in a karaoke setting. It's not.
It is difficult. I played. Okay, so going nerdy on this. My connection to David Bowie comes a lot from Moon Age Daydream and Suffragette City on Rock Band.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we played these tracks a lot because they were fun to play. And then when we got brave and started putting a microphone in front of our faces and turning having the vocal track involved, like, it was hard.
Oh, it's hard
to play and sing these songs.
It's very hard. And on this one, the hardest part is figuring out who does the hey man, and or do you sing it or do you ignore it? Like, there's a lot to think about when doing this one.
Well, on Rock Band, it was all of it. Just all of the voice, do all of them.
Rock and Roll Suicide, however, if you really want to confuse and or frustrate a karaoke audience, this is the one for you.
I want to learn this on guitar. I actually wrote that down. I'm like, I want to learn these opening chords and play the whole song. Like, I like it.
It's a really good song.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean,
it does get hard at the end too.
Oh yeah.
But he's so into it.
Well, and this is where you're like, okay, this is really a performer here. He's really he's putting in a performance. I mean, I don't know. There's as a fan, and just beyond the music of it, as a fan, this is one of those tracks where you get the feeling that he understands who his fan base is and what he means to them.
So he's not being glib about the end of Ziggy Stardust.
No.
This is a serious thing. Like, okay, we're done with this character. We're going to do some great things. But yeah, I appreciate what you've given me.
Yes, and I think that he understood. I think he understood. Even I think it became apparent pretty early on that he is having an impact on people, and some of them are just rock fans, some of them are just people who like theatricality, some of them are people who have never really had a public figure to feel that they related to, for whatever reason.
Huge in the early 70s. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's absolutely ginormous. And so I mean, it's I don't know how much more needs to be said there.
We'll probably say similar things in other episodes.
Oh yeah. And for those of you who caught on that I was fighting back tears, wait till the Black Star album. It's going to be a sob fest.
I don't know what that is.
You really don't know what it is?
No, I've not listened to Black Star.
Oh, it's the last album that he put out, and he knew.
Oh, okay. No, see?
Yeah, and he knew that he was dying.
You're Bowiesplaining to me,
right? See, there you go. That's why we call it what we call it. And apparently, Morrissey kind of covered ish it. Let's see. Morrissey. Morrissey. Well, you know what? Sidebar. Morrissey interview. These are always good.
No.
Let's see. We're gonna play a fun game. It's called Will Morrissey Say Something Horrible? Good Day New York. Will he say something terrible? What do you think, Eric?
I don't know enough about Morrissey other than a vague connection to the Smiths.
Oh, well,
I'm aware of Morrissey and the Smiths. I just don't know enough about Morrissey. Do we need to Morrisplain?
Let's see. Recording artists.
Oh no, diversity's conformity.
Is Morrissey's behavior unforgivable? Let's see. Really messed up truth about Morrissey. I mean, you're kind of getting where we're going with this.
I'm just looking at the titles. Yes.
Yeah, he said some things. How soon is now? Let's see. 10 worst. Oh, here we go. 10 worst things Morrissey has said and done.
Good. Set. So everybody else should
This
be
is Watch
too.
Mojo.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com.
There it
Today
is.
we're counting down the top 10 worst things that Morrissey has said and done.
When will you die?
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe
Spotify,
for more great content.
Sue Watch Mojo.
For this list, we're looking
us.
at the most shocking and controversial things ever said and done by the famously glum singer, songwriter, and former member of 80s alternative band, The Smiths. Fans already know that Morrissey, known as Moz or Mozer for short, has lots of strong opinions on everything from meat to Margaret Thatcher,
He says that you should
the
put
royal
mustard on
family,
your
and
beef
much,
while you're
much more.
cooking it.
So we're limiting our list to no more than one entry per general topic. Number 10. Said Jamie Oliver should serve up his children. The Pope of Mope has never liked celebrity chef Jamie Oliver. Oliver's zeal for cooking includes meat and fish
Oh no.
and public. The shirt paired the Smiths' lyric, "I wear black on the outside because black is how I feel on the inside," from the song Unlovable, with an image of 20th century African-American literary giant James Baldwin, who wrote searingly about his ethnic and cultural identity. The resulting design conflated Baldwin and the song lyrics, which clearly embody two different types of blackness, into
that's very
association and led to opined on Brexit.
Here we go.
Morrissey is a staunch supporter of the UK's 2016 move to exit the EU, saying, quote, "The result of the Brexit vote was magnificent.
All right.
Hated on reggae music." In 1984, Morrissey went on record, not musically, to say he despised reggae music. Fair enough, not everybody enjoys every genre of music. The real problem here is the reason he gave for disliking reggae. He called it, quote, "the most racist music in the entire world," end quote. Because, to quote the man directly, it's, quote, "an absolute total glorification of black supremacy" of the day, including Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson as vile. It sounds like Moz had more of a problem with black trust of foreigners and immigrants. Moz doesn't always have kind words for his fellow Brits either, as blustering jingoism, and compared the UK's pride in itself to that of Nazi Germany in 1939.
Okay.
Reggae isn't the only genre of music Morrissey has complained about. In a
they're still
1992
going
interview
on.
for Details
I thought
magazine,
I just couldn't find the
he
next
went on
thing. Here we
record
go.
saying that
Scanning,
rave music was, quote,
Here we go, number
"it was
4.
from a human being."
Nobody's that hungry. They're not really that hungry. That you need that hungry.
Okay.
Number 4. Hope to meet
A little more context.
being.
Nobody's that hungry. They're not really that hungry that you need to take a life.
It's no
That's
secret
on Larry
that
King.
Morrissey
Oh
despises
God,
meat.
what would I give to see Morrissey and Piers Morgan do an interview right now? That'd be so great.
Those who eat it. In fact, he often insists that venues where he performs go vegetarian for whatever night he'll be on stage, though the venues don't always comply. However, his reaction to the presence of meat at Coachella in 2009,
Here we go.
number 2, was straight up racist.
You don't say.
It may be predicated on his anger over China's treatment, or mistreatment, of animals, but Moz's 2010 statement to The Guardian regarding Chinese citizens is just plain horrible. Discussing the Chinese government's lax animal cruelty regulations, he remarked, quote, "You can't help but feel that the Chinese are a subspecies," end quote. This takes a nation of well more than 1 billion human beings and frames them as something other than fully human. It's a
Let's just reduce them all.
racism, and it's all because he dislikes the way their government handles one specific
Comes number
issue.
1.
Number 1. Defended Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. People are standing behind these two Hollywood fixtures
Well, that's unique.
due to terrible sexual misconduct. But Moz has decided their cause is his latest hill to die on. He recently defended both men in multiple interviews, even in light of the evidence against them. What's worse is the way he did it. By acknowledging that the accusations might well be blaming the victims for overreacting or not anticipating what would happen.
Overreacting.
Strikes again.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips.
Shut up, watch Mojo, whatever. Stutter.
Watch Mojo also said Coachella as the festival, so
yeah,
unforgivable.
I think they're fine. Supposedly, some aspect of Rock and Roll Suicide was quoted or referenced on I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday. I think Asher has that somewhere in his collection. And it is also the same guitarist. So that's fun. Yeah. Get to the fucking. There we go. Yeah, this is kind of a little. I'm planting a seed. Don't worry, listener. I know what I'm doing. Shut up.
I have a feeling that Dan knows more about Morrissey than he's letting on right now.
Actually,
basically, because I've known Dan and some of his friends for several years.
Okay, so Morrissey is my best friend, and I don't hear it. But supposedly, there's a quote, a musical quote somewhere in there. Maybe when the guitar plays. Oh, bum, 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 bum.
Okay. Yeah, it was with the horns.
Yes, yes, I finally heard it. Okay. I legitimately never made it this far into this track.
Okay. Well, good accidental clicking. But yeah, one time it was with the horns, and the other time it was with the it was on the bass, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Anyway, or is it? I hope it is.
Here comes a surprise 2 hours more.
Eric, any final thoughts? Anything that we need to get into that we didn't get into? Anything?
On the album in general, I thank you so much for the context, because listening to it multiple times today, I kept feeling like there was more going on that I didn't understand, because I really only kind of vaguely knew about the character of Ziggy Stardust. So thank you for providing me with that. It's a great album. There are some great songs that stand out as great songs to this day. Obviously, we're still listening to all of this stuff to this day, so whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Watch us on the TikToks.
So the next album will be since we're here, there's a series of interviews that he did with Russell Hardy, who was an interviewer at some point.
He's in character.
He's in character, and you can tell that he knows he's frustrating the interviewer, and he's enjoying it. And it's really fun. He's also, judging by the outfit and the eyebrows and everything, he's on the coke train at this point. Russell Hardy.
I asked him on the show, what did David Bowie think about David Bowie?
Well, all right. I find that I'm a person who can take on the guises of different people that I meet. I can switch accents in seconds of meeting somebody, and I can adopt their accent.
He's visibly
I've always found that I collect. I'm a collector. And I've always just seemed to collect personalities, ideas. I have a hodgepodge philosophy, which really is very minimal. Very
Do you
little
believe in
of
God,
it is
for instance? What? Do you believe in God?
Eric, as a pharmacist, how much cocaine do you think he's on?
I don't know that much about cocaine.
Okay.
But the answer would be yes.
An energy form, but I'm not. I wouldn't like to put a name to it.
Do you indulge in any form of worship?
Life. I love life very much indeed.
You split people down the middle, don't you, a lot? That is to say that people are hostile to you, or they're totally indifferent.
Oh,
You don't
absolutely.
want to know about
Yeah.
that. What kind of reaction do you get from the people who are violently in favour of you? I mean, do you get fan mail?
Yes, a lot.
What is it? Scabrous, or dangerous, or interesting, or exciting?
It's very sexy.
In what way?
Well,
I feel like I'm watching
I seem to draw a lot of fantasies out of people. A lot of fan mail I get. A lot of it is awfully nice. I mean, they say, how's your baby and how's your wife and what's your mum's name and things like that. But some of them are worth framing.
Can you tell us about one or two of the framed ones?
No, I couldn't really. No, they really are quite heavy. Heavy duty letters they are.
Heavy duty.
Heavy duty.
Duty.
So I drop me T's sometimes.
We just need more moralizing to make him into Piers Morgan.
There you go.
Do you really think it's wise to talk about these things that you got the mail?
Don't you think you should pronounce your T's better?
Aren't you ashamed of what you just did? So for context about Space Oddity, we're looking at his second album. The first one
is that what we're doing next?
That's what we're doing next. Here
you didn't complete your sentence earlier, so
yeah, that
okay.
happens a lot.
Okay,
David Bowie, Durham. Okay, just so people can not say that we didn't go through this.
I don't know what this is. What is the Durham anthology?
This is the shit that he did before Space Oddity, the album. Operative word being shit. Here's Rubber Band. Tell me when you've heard enough.
Oh, there's some hot trombone action happening.
Some hot bones. All right, there we go. Rubber, that's that. This one's actually not terrible. It's the London Boys, and I'm talking over it so that the Spotify thing doesn't bite us in the ass.
We got Laughing Gnome. We saw that one.
We listened to that one. Yeah, got enough of that. Gospel according to Tony Day.
Who's Tony?
Tony is a guy who used to do karaoke at the Brunswick Lanes in Upland, California. He also worked in a box making factory.
Ooh, boxes. Very
yes,
important.
He made boxes, and he really enjoyed listening to people sing, so much so that he would record them. And he had the music that he listened to on road trips would be the CDs that he made of people singing karaoke at the bowling alley. That is 100% true story.
I was going to say, I can't tell if you're telling the truth or not.
But that is not who Tony Day is. That is Tony, the karaoke guy.
Oh, okay.
I used to know. That's, yeah. Okay, so then there's
Different
more
Tony.
of this. Different Tony. Uncle Arthur. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I have. When I hear this much clapping at the beginning of a song, I'm out. I mean, you're kind of getting I'm guessing you're getting a feel
it's
for
generic '60s song.
Yeah.
And shit.
Yeah.
We put you in front of a microphone, and there is also a band.
Right. There is definitely sheet music involved. Not that that's a bad thing. I think the Western tradition, classical music, is superior to all other forms of music notation. Okay, anyway, Love You Till Tuesday. Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Lots of band.
Oh yeah,
instruments here. Yeah.
So this is kind of the other answer to why are we not doing this in chronological order? Because if we were to do it in chronological order, we would listen to this shit first. And then Eric, I think a lot of the episode would be Eric going like, you like this guy?
Ooh, no, it would be me going, ooh, nice glockenspiel work. Oh, yes, please, more.
But this is hitting that same place where, like,
this is like having a singer sing along with my marching band.
Yeah. But this is sort of like that same place where it's like, oh, we're covering a restaurant on the Supreme Resort. I get to look up old menus.
Ooh, also something I enjoy.
Yeah, I mean,
you're saying this is like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's enjoyable, but in the same way as like looking at old, like, pictures of themed apartment buildings, you know, like.
Hey, let's go to Come and Buy My Toys.
I'm gonna go through each one so that people can say that people can just shut the fuck up about this. There we go.
Sure, just keep going.
Just keep going. This way, we will have officially covered every track. There we go. Yep.
Oh,
yeah, he said the thing. Not a bad groove on this one.
I like it.
Nope, never mind.
Johnny plays the sitar, he's an existentialist.
Well, we've got a sitar going banjo style.
Never heard that before. Let's see.
No wonder you hate the Beatles.
It's all this shit.
It's all the goofiest Paul music.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is nothing but Paul music. It's nothing but Paul
I've got
music.
a great song about the Maid of Bond Street. Yeah.
This is the Boodly Boo album for fans of Dan Hates the Beatles.
Sees the pictures of herself. Every magazine on every.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's Please Mr. Gravedigger.
Oh.
Yeah, it's atmospheric.
Oh, very, very dark.
If I remember correctly.
3 maids of Bond Street passed out hearing this track.
This is, I think, it's kind of acted out. Let me. Oh yeah, it's a full on.
In this little yard, there's a little old man with a little shovel in his little bitty hand.
I'm picturing the Spotify algorithm scanning through this part of it and just going like, yeah, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Excuse me.
No one will complain about this track.
Totally.
They could play it without speaking over it.
It's deserved.
Please, Mr. Gravedigger, I couldn't care if you found a golden locket full of some girl's hair.
So,
this song. I'm gonna have to listen to this stuff at some point.
Do it on your own time.
Oh no.
So
that's an hour and 16 minutes long.
Yeah.
27 songs.
I mean, this isn't his first album, but it is.
I know.
Everything that. Yeah. So there you go. David Bowie, super fans and purists. Shut up. We did it. we covered his early, not only did we cover the official first album, we covered the entirety of the Dare anthology.
Oh wow.
So there. For context, we're dealing with that. And he meets up with a producer, Mr. Tony Visconti, who will become a very important person in our journey. I mean that in a real way, not in the Angie Bowie way, where it's like she's kind of funny to go to every once in a while. And this is an interview with him where he kind of talks about meeting Bowie and recording Space Oddity, the song, but also the album, which, by the way, this might be too late in the episode to mention this, but I discovered a little something, which is that there are new remasters of some of these albums that have mixes that I have not heard before. And boy, howdy, is that interesting.
Howdy.
Add to our conversation. And here's Tony Visconti.
David was always a fine musician, not trained at all. his machine was the 12-string. That was his rhythm box. He could play like with the feel of a drummer. And he could play in front of a group of people, never make a mistake, be solid from beginning to the end of a song. And that's why my plan for the album was just the 12-string with band embellishment. I stuck to that because the brief I got from his publisher was, he is all over the place. We need him to be channeled. We want him to sing in one style so he can get a fan base and all. You know, I did it for all the right reasons. And so you'll find that virtually every song on the album is acoustic guitar bass, and he's playing on every track. Even the Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud, where I had him sat down in the middle of a 50-piece orchestra, and there was no click track. David was the click track, but he obediently didn't sing, so it would have been hard if he sang with the violins in the room and all that. His voice would get all over the microphones. So he was just the rhythm player. He played like the part of a session drummer, you know, on that particular recording. David and I agreed. We worked on this for a few weeks, the concept of it, and I said, there's going to be everything, woodwind, bassoons and all that. You're going to sit in the middle, you're going to be the rhythm keeper and all that. Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud is my favorite track on the album. It's got the most production value. We have 50 pieces of orchestra on it. It's an arrangement that took me 5 days to write, and David's vocal was brilliant on it. I thought this was one of the best songs David had ever written, and it merited this treatment, but it wasn't as bright as I could have made it. I love to, you know, it's nice to put some high-end frequencies on classical instruments because you get this lovely air around the orchestra. So over the years, we've been listening to a duller version of Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud. When I was asked to remix it for the 50th anniversary, I said, okay, here comes the hiss again. What are we going to do with the hiss? And there was a person at my studio, a technician, who took every track, say the oboe and bassoon, they were on one track, and he carefully removed the hiss from that track. Then he proceeded to do it on the first violin track, the French horn track and all that. And when I played this back, I had all the 16 tracks up. It was pristine. The quality was beautiful. But this mix of Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud is the one that I always wanted to do. It's just beautiful, and you've got David front and center singing proudly. You hear things that you never heard before on this recording.
So that's a little preview of what's going on there. My sort of take on Space Oddity, if you care to hear it, and this isn't me trying to tell you, you know, how to experience anything, but
okay. Tell the listener how to experience it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is maybe the most. It's a good beginning, but it is also. If I needed to and if I wanted to, I could make an argument for skipping it. However, yeah, because a lot of what we get from this, we get from Hunky Dory, but Hunky Dory does enough different things to it that it warrants having both here. It's sort of like when I tell people, I can hear the Bowie fans just screaming right now. When people have told me, oh, I'm going to watch Twin Peaks or something, I will tell them, and I love Twin Peaks with like dearly.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell them, okay, well, you should start with the first episode, or the pilot rather. However,
yeah,
if it's boring to you, you can skip it and you'll be okay. You'll still get what you need eventually.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah.
I think that this album is in that category of if it connects with you, then great. There's stuff to connect to. Wonderful. It is in many ways a really good album. And I kind of purposely played the thing about him being a terrible boyfriend because there's a song in there called Letter to Hermione that is an interesting song. because he we'll get into more about that relationship in that episode. But yeah, I think you're in for. I think that it is possibly, aside from the ones that are aggressively different later on, it is the most different of his albums. And so the reason I went to that background is, so you have this unfocused kind of folksy singer-songwriter, I just want to be known kind of guy, and he meets a producer who's able to go like, no, we're doing this. Like,
I like that bit of the studio saying, yeah, he kind of doesn't know what he wants to do, so just tell him what to do.
Well, at this point in his career, that is very true, and he manages to work with people and he was very good at taking the influences they needed to take from people. And this is, I think, the first iteration of that, where, you know, Tony kind of gets him there and he says, hey, would you like to sing at my bowling alley karaoke? Sorry, other Tony. Visconti is like, okay, dude, I get where you're going, but you don't get where you're going. So it's collaboration, but I'm going to keep you focused here. And so I was about to say it's a fun album, but that's not entirely true.
Apparently I'll be the judge.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking me on this journey. I'm looking forward to more of this.
Yeah.
I'm even looking forward to the parts that I already know you can't stand.
I suspect you're looking forward to those parts the most.
You and perhaps you and another person have already shown me some of the things that you hate the most, and let's go. Yeah, if you're looking to engage with us, please, at this time, we haven't launched an episode yet, but we do have teenagewildlife.net. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do with that versus the old.com. I'm probably going to do an Instagram or Facebook thing or YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we might. Depending on the level of engagement, we might figure out a way for David Bowie to answer your emails.
There we go. Yeah, we'll have a Discord chat where David Bowie will definitely be there.
Sailor with an Eyes coming back. Yeah, I think Discord is probably a good way. We're figuring this out. Give us a couple episodes and we'll know how to start an episode and how to end an episode. But until then, we're doing this.
Yeah. And hey, I bet we'll have a Patreon by the time this comes out.
Hell yeah.
You can be on our tier, our $17 tier, to get access to more Bowiesplaining content.
We could do tiers based on like his management or his producers, or his like Visconti tier would be like really high.
Ooh. Or what's the $3 tier? Dan knows. That's why I'm asking.
Nile Rodgers.
I can't wait to find out what that means.
Oh. Or wait a minute, hold on. Let's find. I don't need to share the screen for this one. Let's see. Okay. And in fact, it's better that I don't, because it's better for this to be.
I'd have to see more of your suggested.
No, I think it's better for this one to be a surprise about how awful it is.
Okay.
Oh my. Let's see. Okay.
If the fans can't tell, I do enjoy doing this stupid shit.
It would be the. Ooh, there are so many producers on that album. That's not a good thing. It would be the Hugh Padgham. Hugh Padgham. Okay, gonna go with the other producer because I don't know how to say that word.
You gotta be able to pronounce it.
It would be the Derek Bramble tier.
Derek Bramble. That's a good tier. What do you get on the Derek Bramble tier, Dan?
Shit in an envelope.
There you go.
With a picture of Iggy Pop on the
Iggy
outside.
Pop. We'll rip you. We'll send you a pirated copy of one of Iggy Pop's albums.
Yeah. Well, you're not far off. I'll just say, if you enjoy Iggy Pop and reggae, you're gonna love that album when we get to
it. I can't wait.
All right. That's the end of the episode. Goodbye.